These are all cryptocurrency wallets. They all can store Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Now, as you can see from the vast array here, I've gone through quite a few. And it's for good reason as well. Because keeping your cryptocurrency safe using one of these wallets is at the heart of crypto. After all, you gotta protect your cryptographic keys from theft and from hackers. Crypto doesn't care about who you are. It doesn't care about my identity. It doesn't care about my passport. There's no customer service to call if something goes wrong. And because of that, we have to use some of these hardware to get that extra layer of added security, which is in many ways why I'm reviewing the Ngrave wallet. Ngrave, they're coming up with the kind of next generation of cryptocurrency wallets. They're calling this the coldest of all cold wallets. And when I first saw it, I'm like, how can you be colder? How can you be even more safe than something we've been discussing here, like the Ledger Nano S? And it turns out, yeah, you can. There's still a few security issues that they did brought up and they fixed. So this kind of warrants why there is a new device. It's even safer. It has a new way of storing those keys, and it also has some interesting recovery features, which we're talking about in this video. For full disclosure, I am partnering with Ngrave to help promote their Indiegogo campaign for the device. But whilst talking about this, I do reserve my own opinions for everything, and I did a lot of due diligence on this device because at the end of the day, it's about storing cryptocurrencies, which is why I spent a lot of time analyzing what security measures they have and how this compares with the Ledger, Trezor, and for the hell keep key here, and even your USB or your wallet here. I talk about the differences in this video as well. So we established in the introduction that device security is very important, especially if you're keeping cryptocurrencies. Now, when it comes to actually attacking the device, there's actually two major attack vectors. So one of them being from the internet. Hackers can try to figure out or trick you into running some form of malicious code. And this happens a lot. You heard about viruses, that rages on in the computer world. And some of them, because they can run code, they can try to hack your other devices too, which is why we almost never leave our cryptocurrency keys on your actual computer, because it's pretty simple for a hacker to just take it and use it and take all your cryptocurrencies. That's why when it comes to protecting yourself from online hackers, the further away, the more offline your device is, the better. That's why the OG crypto guys would all like a paper wallet, because paper is unhackable. It's literally doesn't have any electronics. It's literally removed from the internet. But of course, with paper, sending a transaction would be incredibly hard. And this is why the Ngrave now becomes the coldest wallet, is because there's no physical connection between the device and the outside world. And the way to communicate is via QR codes. So as I alluded to previously, QR codes can only contain a small amount of information, which is just enough for the transaction to go through. You can't really run even kilobytes of malicious code by just scanning a QR code. So this is why the Ngrave wallet is very, very novel when it comes to communication. By having no form of communication online, hackers can definitely not access that device. There's no USB cable, there's no Bluetooth, there's no Wi-Fi to access the device. So you can just pretty much consider it as a cold storage for cryptocurrencies. What's also interesting about Ngrave is that it has a totally different key generation process. It's actually interactive and it adds additional layers of security. And also on top of this, Ngrave has the highest level EAL7 certification for hardware devices. To find out a little bit more about this, I had an interview call with the co-founders of Ngrave, Ruben Mere and Xavier Hendricks, and we talked a little bit about their passion behind the device and these extra features as well.
In the world of...
You guys enjoyed the interview. Back when you started the project, you didn't find any hardware wallets that were satisfying your solution. So What were they missing, from the ones that we have? I mean, Trezor and Ledger are hot. What were they missing? What did they not have? What did they not have?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so what we tried to think about was a statement and to what extent that statement was true at that time in the market. So, and the statement for us was, when do you exactly start truly owning what is yours, right? And if you think about banks, banks can say at any moment in time, the $100,000 you have here, we've never seen it, right? Cryptocurrency exchanges can say the exact same thing. They're still too centralized today. And the one thing that comes closest to start truly owning what is yours are hardware wallets. But if you look closer under the hood, you see that there are still so many things missing. And it all starts obviously with, how do you generate a private key? If the private key is not generated in the right way, you cannot start truly owning what is yours. So we looked at the existing solutions, and what we found were two problems. The first one is that they almost all of them rely on the interior chip that generates the private key. And these chips have been developed for the last decades to almost perfection. But the problem with them is that they have backdoors, or they are likely to have a backdoor, which has actually been proven time and time again, even in articles in 2020 by Fortune and so on. So these chips cannot be completely trusted because there are third parties who might know what your key is. So we said, good enough. That means that we can use the chip, but we cannot rely completely on the chip. So we actually introduce external factors in real time happening when you're making the key. It's very simple. For example, your fingerprint is included in the key generation process, but also the ambient light at that specific moment in time is measured through your camera and is taken as an input into your key generation process. So we basically take the interior chip, we take outside elements, we put that together. And that, in our case, eliminates most of the risks of these backdoors. The second issue we saw was that hardware wallet manufacturers, they give you a key. So an existing wallet just says, here's your key, write it down on a piece of paper, keep it safe. And it's a residual, super tiny risk, and we don't actually think they do it. But for us, residual risks are not allowed in our security model. And what I'm talking about is the fact that they might have a database of all the keys they ever made, because that's what they do. They give you a key. So we said there must be a way that you can interact with your key so that at the end of the process, you know that you have made a key that even Ngrave, the manufacturer, has no idea of knowing, no idea of brute forcing anymore. So the way we do that is by a very easy interaction process where you can make no mistakes, but we designed it together with the world-leading experts in cryptography to make sure that this thing is still a very strong key. You make it completely offline because our Zero doesn't need USB or doesn't need network connections. It's offline. And you also have this random process. So you suddenly have a whole new version of a key that gives you the starting point to start truly owning what is yours. And we have done upgrades in the entire process for the user every time we saw something like that could compromise your security.
So it's actually even safer, because you're basically saying that there's an off chance that the secure modules that are being used right now and deployed to give you the key. So when we generate a new key on a ledger or a Trezor, etc., you say, okay, look, that can't be fully trusted, because just in case the manufacturer or not even the manufacturer, maybe even the chip manufacturer, right, has a backdoor to it. So now, by introducing these extra elements, do you introduce any security risks to that? Because that's my first immediate question. Now you're adding, all these factors in. Now you're, would it be even more secure, or would it be less secure?
Yeah. So we understood that from the very beginning. Okay, we're basically setting out to build the best solution in the world. So that meant that we couldn't just do it with the three of us. We needed the best partners in the world to do so. So after 2 months of building our own functional prototype, we approached the world-leading research and development institution for nanotechnology called IMEC. And we shared with them our vision, we showed them our prototype, and they basically enrolled us in their tech acceleration program. And after a few months, they also noticed these guys are not kidding around. We actually want to partner with you to build this solution. And another important partnership was with COSIC, C-O-S-I-C, which is one of the world-leading research groups for cryptography and hardware security. For example, they have hacked the Tesla cars in like 2 minutes. Tesla did a patch, they hacked them again in 2 minutes. So these guys are really serious about cryptography and about, let's say having the user enter the key generation process. In the beginning, they said you should never do that. But actually, you can do it without let's say, reducing the entropy of the key, like the
Mm.
randomness of the key, which is crucial. So what we did is the entropy remains the same. You cannot remove entropy by adding, let's say, maybe less random factors. But what you can, and what the only risk you then have is you can do things that people do, which is people are predictable, right? People are psychologically, you can basically map out what you're going to do. So there we really had to figure out a process where users couldn't just say, I can change any character in the key and I'm going to change the first one to a 1, then the second key I ever make to a 2, because people will do that. So we had to find a way to make the interaction intuitive, fast, but also such that users couldn't make the key worse. And if you look at our key generation process today, you will realize that indeed it will become difficult for us to know what the key is, but it will also be difficult for the user to just do whatever he wants.
Now, you're running this project on Indiegogo, so you're selling the Ngrave Zero wallet. Now, what's the kind of production capability right now? So, like, if you start buying it, people start buying it, where will it get produced? Do you have the prototype ready? What's the status?
Yeah, good question. So when you go to Indiegogo, you will also see, I think in the next coming days, that we are in the production phase, so no longer in the prototype phase. And we realized that some things are typically bottlenecks in buildings, or let's say in industrializing solutions like this. And one of them is building the mold or the matrix for the casing of the device. And so what we did there is we made sure that we were well ahead of time. We delivered the matrix or the molds in February. And we already had the first out of tools, as they call it, like a month later. And we're actually going to do that in the next coming days after this video is recorded. Be starting to show the process, right? The progress. So basically, you can see that these devices are there. They're being sprayed on with a special kind of varnish. And you will basically see these guys are actually building it in mass production right now.
Okay, so you're building the mass, but how about the chipset and everything else inside? Is that being manufactured as well, or would that take a lot more time?
No, so we developed let's say the device in the PCB, like the electronic circuitry board and so on. We developed it from scratch. Yeah? So we designed it from scratch. We took the components we liked from where we could find them. And today that board is ready. We also already have our assembly partner ready. Yeah? They're based in Belgium. Also, our mechanical partner is also based in Belgium. So for max quality and for being able to manage the risks of the supply chain really well, we decided to do all of it in Belgium. Because for us, at the end of the day, the customer is who is important, and it's his security, his usability. We don't want to compromise in any way on that. So we said Belgium it is, regardless of the fact that we also looked at other countries and so on. But we noticed that the price was good, and especially the quality and the fact that we can drive half an hour and we are in the plant to fix something, that really makes it very, very doable for us. Because again, we're only three guys. We're partnered up with a lot of amazing people, but it's still us who have to manage it and do it.
All right, so talking about the device, let's say you make the project, you get the device, and we knew that one of the biggest selling points of the device is it's completely offline, right? So it's completely air gap from the rest of the world, which is great. But one of the worries, obviously, is are there any other potential vulnerabilities? Like, do you ever have to connect the device to a cable to update the firmware? We've seen firmware updates being quite popular. How does that work?
Well, firmware updates is something we spend a lot of time thinking about and got quite challenged. First of all, we decided to use the USB for updates because by really studying the differences between what the competitors use to be fully air-gapped, being SD cards, it doesn't offer any meaningful difference with USB. In the end, it's the same kind of vulnerabilities, the same kind of risk that you have with the USB cable, even though it doesn't feel like it. But what we decided to do was to allow USB functionality only on a very separate secure boot partition of our device that is fully sandboxed from the rest of the operating system by the secure operating system. So if you want to do an update of our system, you will have to reboot, and it will be in the separate boot mode, which will only allow at that time the USB connection. Second important point is that there is different types of updates. The most regular updates will be pertaining to the what we call the rich OS, which is the OS that is not responsible or in charge for security operations. It is mostly in charge for driving the peripherals, driving the screen, and also formatting information to be able to add coin supports. So that's where we see most of updates happening. And those parts will be differential updates, meaning that you will not rewrite the whole firmware. It will just incrementally add new features or remove on a differential way. This allows us to update in the most secure way. Every update, by the way, will be signed by us, so it will be verified by the secure OS. So yeah, this is a really secure way to do updates. There is some times there is a possibility that you do a full firmware update that will also be signed and verified by the EAL7 certified secure OS. But overall, the parts that are most regularly updated will also be open sourced, so people can actually verify online what's in there, and they can also confirm the validity of the package by performing the signature themselves.
So guys, thank you guys so much for telling me a little bit more about Ngrave. I hope the Indiegogo goes well. It's already doing very well, but I'm, of course, obviously it can definitely go better. So if you guys are interested, definitely check out the Indiegogo campaign, and we'll see you guys. Well, I hope to get the device. I'll order one myself and get it hopefully in November.
October.
October.
Okay. Awesome, guys. So guys, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys soon. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that call and conversation and learned a little bit about security for hardware devices as well. So at the end of the day, the Ngrave Zero is definitely the next generation of hardware wallets. Most importantly, it's completely offline, so there's no way for hackers to ever try to tamper with it. And it also has a very large screen to interact with. So every time you're trying to sign a transaction or whatnot, it's a clean, modern interface. The company also created the product Liquid to go along with the app. So this allows you to manage your cryptocurrencies on the go. So you can just see your transactions, but every time you need to sign it, you need the Ngrave Zero with you. And lastly, they have the backup solution, Graphene. So Graphene is a stainless steel backup key solution. Typically speaking, a lot of times when I taught people how to use a ledger, etc., you write down your backup phrases on a piece of paper and you hope that piece of paper is safe, especially from fire or decay or the ink running out. With stainless steel, of course, you don't have to worry about any of those things. Stainless steel, just plain and simple, doesn't burn. So you have that additional kind of safekeeping there, knowing that you have your backup, which is safe, and the restoration process, which is a much different and cleaner method of restoring. So now how does this cost? Where does this put us in terms of cost? So right now this project is on Indiegogo, and for the unit itself, for the Zero, the hardware wallet, it's right now being sold at 228 euros. And if you're interested in a backup solution, it's 288 for the early bird combo, but there's only around 75 left at the time of making this video. So there is a limited supply on these special prices. So when it comes to pricing, it's not cheap, but also it's the most premium experience out there with the larger screen, with the complete offlineness, the better security on the chipset, the better recovery process, and the key generation procedure as well. So that's kind of what you're paying for when you're paying that extra bit. In terms of the Indiegogo campaign, what I personally got is the 288 Graphene and Zero combo. And the reason why I got that is I just wanted to try out the stainless steel recovery phrase. I've never tried anything like this before, and I thought that might be relatively interesting. Overall, it seems expensive at first, but keeping your cryptocurrency safe, honestly, is more valuable. I've lost more Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies than I can probably count due to bad storage in the past when these weren't available, and I'm just glad we're at this stage right now. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the device. I've seen a few people chat about it on our live chats, and I'd love to hear what your feedback so far and what you think is good and not good about the device. Leave a comment down below. I also ordered it, so I will be getting it in October once it releases, and I'll give you a full hardware review then. Until again, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video, and of course, click the thumbs up button as well.